Good afternoon. You're listening to Gambling with an Edge. Now here are your hosts, Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Today is another mailbag show. We're using most of our questions today, so keep them coming. Send them to the usual addresses that we mention every other time we do a mailbag show. First question. Somebody said he notices people announcing on Discord that they're headed to a specific casino and asking about conditions. Richard, what do you think about them doing this?
Well, there is a lot of complaints about this, and you know, it doesn't affect you. It affects them. Some people just don't take playing professionally seriously. I mean, they're not really playing professionally. They are recreational people who maybe have learned to count cards, but they don't think of it as a very serious thing. Some people don't realize, they don't believe they're actually going to get barred. I play too small. They won't care about me, that kind of thing. So obviously it's a really bad idea because the Discord and blackjack forums are not private, and there are casino people, there are surveillance people who hang out there. And if you happen to mention the one they work in, well, obviously they're going to be looking for you. So if you're serious about the game, it's something you really do not want to do. If you're trying, sometimes they're saying, does anybody want to meet up? And, you know, those things would be better done in DMs, not publicly.
And correlation to this, there are video poker bulletin boards, and frequently, not so frequently, but sometimes you'll see, does this particular casino still have this game? And that lets the casino know that this is the game you're interested in. This is the game the sharp players are interested in. And sometimes they don't even know they have the game until it's mentioned. So,
yeah. And in blackjack, you know, people, or maybe you see this in video poker too, where they're saying, wow, I found a game at, you know, the Gold Coast that has a, you know, mispay on the, you know, on the flush or whatever, which is a good way to get it stopped very quickly.
Very quickly. All right. Next question. Also for you. I tried wearing a wig as a disguise. It worked for a while, but eventually they kicked me out. Any other disguise tips?
You know, every professional that I know at one time or another has tried various types of disguise, and almost everybody ends up abandoning it just because it just seems to be more hassle than it's worth, other than natural things like growing your hair, cutting your hair, facial hair, glasses, things like that don't take a lot of work. Sometimes when you get involved with makeup and skin tint and it starts to run, and it can just be a real problem. And for complicated disguises, you know, it might take you an hour or 2 hours to put the thing on, and then how much time are you actually going to get to play in it? So I never did more than just the things I mentioned. I have dyed my hair. That's also fairly easy and lasts a long time. I've permed my hair, but you know, I do know people who have dressed up as a woman. I do know people who have used a fat suit, which can be very expensive. I would also say, though, that if you're trying to really change your look, to also change the way you walk and make sure you're not wearing any kind of distinguishing jewelry. You know, another interesting idea, I think, is to give them something to focus on So, for example, say you wear kind of a big bandage on your forehead. Well, that's what they're going to remember, the guy with the bandage on his forehead. It distracts them from paying attention to other kind of details. So those are my thoughts.
What about disguising your behavior, such as trying to come across as a drunk degenerate while you're cold sober?
Yeah, most people are very bad actors, and I'm not a fan of that kind of thing, just because most people are just not good at it, and it ends up looking fake and drawing more attention to you than you want. I think quiet is better. You want to be as forgettable as possible. So just saying nothing, keeping your head down, playing your game. And if you get backed off, leave immediately. Don't say anything. Don't argue with them. Don't say, gee, why? What was I doing? Any of that kind of stuff. Just it's not going to buy you anything.
All right. Next question. How successful would asking a casino to change your address at the desk from what's on your photo ID to something local to the casino be to convince the casino that you actually live locally to that property and not a P.O. box, but an actual address? Not counting where they send the mailers, do you think for anything other than mailers, they use what you tell them, or might they use another method? I'm not sure what the last sentence means, but most places allow you to change your address. Many casinos break down their offers into locals and non-locals, and generally speaking, the locals get better mailers, but you have to go in fairly frequently to collect that mail. Many private mailbox locations do not appear to be post office boxes. They collect your mail and forward it to you for a fee, but their address is just something like 123 Main Street. If they're small enough and know all their customers, you don't even have to say box 34 on your address. The employees at that place knows which box is yours.
Yeah, I would also say this is trivial. You can just log into your account, your Players Club account, and change your address there. You don't have to go up to the desk and ask them to change it.
Or the casinos that have online access, an app or such. There are many casinos that do not have that.
Really? Still in this day and age?
Still in this day and age.
Huh.
If a casino asks to see my ID when I'm card counting and I lie and tell them, no, my ID is in my car, I don't have it with me, when my ID is actually in my wallet, is this legal to say? Is there any situation where that could be fraud? So we'll put this question to Bob Nersessian next time he's on, but I don't see how that could be fraud. There is no legal requirement to tell the truth to casino employees. Now, lying to a policeman or a judge is a different story. Richard.
Yeah, actually, I don't even think it's illegal to lie to a policeman. It is illegal to lie to an FBI agent, but I'm not sure about a policeman. But yeah, you don't have to tell them the truth. You don't have to tell them anything, and don't believe them. They will always give you this BS line that it's illegal not to have an ID in the casino, which is total crap. There is no law that says you have to carry an ID. So, yeah, don't worry about that in the least.
Well, but many casino employees believe there's such a law and will defend that belief to the death.
Yeah, but they're wrong.
Yeah, well, I don't have to tell you because Richard Munchkin says I don't have to. That's
yeah, there you go.
Work.
See how that works for you.
Another question. If a casino catches me card counting, 86 is me, and then refuses to cash my chips, can I call gaming and stay in the casino, or do I need to get out? And what happens if the casino calls the police?
So if you get 86, if you get backed off and or 86, leave immediately. Do not try to cash the chips right away. Just get out the door as forgettably as possible. You can always go back later on another shift and try to get the chips cashed or get friends to cash them or whatever. So just leave. We had someone on the show back in the fall who went and tried to get their chips cashed, and they are still trying to get those chips cashed, even though the casino is required to cash those chips. That doesn't mean they'll do it. And sometimes they will just steal them from you. So just get out the door and then go back later when it's safe or send someone else in to cash them. But yes, you can call gaming, and eventually they will have to cash them. You may have to hire a lawyer, depending on where it is. If it's an Indian casino, who knows what they might do. So just leave with the chips.
Okay. If you could recommend one beyond counting technique, what would it be? I know how to count, but I can only get to casinos about 5 weekends a year. Is it possible to become proficient at any beyond counting technique with so little seat time? Or must I resign myself to a 1% grind for the rest of my dumb life?
Bob would love to have 1% right now.
For video poker, I could live with a 1% grind for the rest of my dumb life, for sure.
If you are only playing 5 times a year, I mean, I guess the best thing to do, assuming that you can, would be to learn how to play slots, because it requires almost no skill at all other than, put your money in and push the buttons. I mean, the skill is involved in knowing what is good to play. And the only way to learn that is to have a network and have people, let you in on their secrets. But to try to learn something complicated, no, I mean, you're either the games are too few and far between, or you're not going to be proficient at it playing 5 times a year. So I guess slots is it.
Next question. Caesars cut the benefits of 7 stars greatly, including but not limited to closing all of their Laurel lounges. It used to be you and a guest could get drinks there without playing. Now you only get 4 drink coupons per day and $10 food credit. How can this be legal? We earned our 7 stars with one set of rewards in mind, and now we don't get them. Well, most of the Laurel lounges have been closed since the pandemic started, which was 2 years ago now. Very likely when you earn your 7 stars award, they were already closed. Perhaps you were hoping they would reopen, but likely that was a hope on your part, not a contract on their part. Part of the list of rewards at any slot club is something on the order of management reserves all rights, and they may change things at any point they wish. If the Laurel lounges were the reason you played enough to earn your 7-star status, I suggest you don't earn that status anymore. I personally still play for 7 stars. We enjoy the benefits, including the discounts on cruises. So for us, it is still a good play. All right, next question. Thanks for the podcast. After listening for a while, it's easy to believe that half the people playing blackjack are trying to count cards. Obviously, that's not the reality. But I would like to know what you estimate to be the percentage of people playing blackjack. in Vegas or other casinos? How many of those are counting cards? And also, what percentage of these are actually skilled enough to make a profit?
I mean, I can only make a wild ass guess, but I would say it is considerably less than 1% are attempting to count cards. I mean, it might be way less, like 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000 or something. But it's a very small number. And how many of those are actually proficient? Not many. I think there are a lot of people who think they're card counters that are not winning players at all. More than half, and maybe considerably more. But again, I'm just guessing. But lots of people think they know how to do it, and most of them are not winning players. But I will say, over half the people that listen to this show, I think, are counting cards, or blackjack players that are listening to the show are counting cards or attempting to count cards. Remember, our audience skews toward people who are trying to get an edge at gambling.
Yes. So actually, that sounded to me like a scientific wild ass guess, Richard, not merely a wild ass guess.
I don't know.
The next question, when it came to us, was lengthy, so I'm going to paraphrase it. A player received a win-loss statement from a major casino saying he won $45,000 from them in December. The player says he was not in that casino that month. He communicated this to the casino, and they said an uncarded player who looked like him played on a particular day in December and won, so they attributed that win to him. Should he worry about this? Should he take any action? Richard.
First of all, I'm shocked that they told him that. But I mean, take any action? What action can you take? I mean, your gambling log for tax purposes is the record. That's the thing that matters. So if there was some discrepancy with the IRS, what's important is your log. So you should be logging all your plays and your wins and losses and the casino and the date that you played. Yeah, so I mean, it reminds me of a story of a particular casino that there was a little old lady who was a $5 player. This casino back then had $5 tables. She was a red chip player, and they came to management and they wanted to bar her because they said she was a lifetime winner of $60,000. And they had somebody with a brain working there who was like, this is not possible. This woman bets $5 and $10 a hand. There's no way she's a lifetime winner of $60,000. And it turned out, after some investigation, that, the pit bosses are supposed to be recording who wins and who loses on the tables that they're watching. And whenever there was money sort of missing that they didn't know where it went, they were just assigning it to this lady. So she almost got backed off as a $5 player, but ended up not. So, yeah, casinos do this all the time, attribute wins and losses to the wrong people. So that's why your log is important and their records are not.
Well, another feature to it, though, is separate from the tax issue, is if the casino thinks your win is 45,000 greater than it is, that increases the chance of you being backed off somewhere down the road.
True.
So, yeah. Is there anything you can do about that?
I don't think so. I mean, you can plead with your host, but I can't imagine him going to management and saying, we need to change this guy's records.
Yeah, well, he can go, but
Yeah.
a lot of good it's going to do. All right. What's the best way to get into sports betting and to be knowledgeable about it? I know there are many books on it, but so many are garbage. I want to have the best chances of winning long term, and I want to do this right. There are so many resources for blackjack, such as Blackjack Apprenticeship, but I feel on my own when starting a successful sports betting hobby. I respect both your opinions and would love to hear your takes on what you would do to be a complete newbie. Well, we've had the following sports betting folks on this show: Captain Jack and Rufus Peabody, who've been very useful, who have a useful unabated.com, which is currently free. Stanford Wong and his book, Sharp Sports Betting, which is now in a brand new edition. Ed Miller and Matthew David Dow on their book, The Logic of Sports Betting. In addition, there's an unabated podcast, the Bet the Process podcast with Rufus Peabody and Jeff Ma. And I believe the Spanky has a podcast called Be Better Betters. Spanky's Bet Bash will be in Vegas starting April 1st. We'll have many, many successful sports bettors, and there will be a time to network with others. I recommend all these sources and hereby declare them to be not garbage.
Yeah, I would also add one more book, which we had him on the show as well, and that book was, I think it was called Sports Betting 2020. And I've forgotten his name, the author, but I thought that book was also good.
Yes, I think that was from Las Vegas Advisor. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, in addition, Captain Jack's video YouTube series. All the resources Bob mentioned, yeah, that's where I would start.
All right. Another question. I bet sports every day trying to grow my bankroll. However, I'm looking for something I can be more consistent at playing. From your description of video poker, it seems like it might work. I'm looking to make about $20 a session with small bets with about 30 minutes of time. Is this a realistic goal or am I too optimistic? I know I will have to invest in your strategy cards and perfect them, but I would like to know if my goals are possible. Also, I would be playing online. I don't live by a casino and was going to do Blackjack Apprenticeship, but he doesn't recommend playing online. So I was going to try video poker starting with jacks or better. Well, assuming by small bets you mean $5 a hand or less, and you're playing 1,000 hands an hour, which is reasonable for an experienced player, but way too fast for a new player, you're asking for a 1% advantage. Yes, these exist sometimes in some casinos, certainly not most casinos, but they don't exist all the time. And I've never seen it for jacks or better. You need a better game than that, or a super promotion. And an average of $20 an hour at video poker means mostly losing sessions and occasional $4,000 royals. Sometimes part of the $20 is in comps, which may be useful, but they're not the same as cash. Whether or not the 1% advantage games exist at the closest casinos to you, that's questionable and actually doubtful because they aren't that plentiful. I have no experience with online video poker, so I can't comment on that. So I would say yes, the goals you state are unrealistic.
It also sounded like he wanted casinos to be an ATM where he could just go withdraw $20 every time he went in. And as Bob says, most of the time you are going to lose. And then every once in a while you will win big.
I'm working through a video poker deposit bonus at betus.com. When I look around and I see they offer a blackjack happy hour special. Blackjack pays 9 to 5. This got me interested, so I play a few hands. Lo and behold, it's also Stan's 17 game. Double after split allowed. Double on any 2 cards, split any pair. I assume the computer shuffles the deck before each hand. They don't seem to mention how many decks are being played. Is this a positive EV game with correct basic strategy, Richard?
Well, I would be very careful for a number of reasons. One, are you sure it's 925 and not 945? So, yes, it would be a very positive game if they're paying 925 because you're supposed to get $7.50 for 525. So every basically 20, 21 hands, you're getting an extra $1.50 on a $5 bet. Yeah, that's
$2.
the what?
Oh, $1.50. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So yes, it'd be extremely positive. But the other thing you said is you're working through a bonus. Now, I'm not familiar with that particular casino, but you have to be very careful if you are doing the requirements to get a bonus because sometimes blackjack won't be allowed. Sometimes if you switch games, I mean, they have all kinds of rules about bonuses, and you have to really, really read them very carefully to not, have the bonus taken away or, online casinos pull all kinds of crap when it comes to bonuses. So that's the other thing to be really careful of.
Very good. We're now going to take a break for commercials. We have lots more questions to cover when we get back. The South Point has more than 10,000 games returning 99%. This is more than anyone else has. The March promotion is free play with a kicker, which goes to players who already get mailers. Pick up your usual free play Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesdays, and you'll receive an identical amount Friday or Saturday of the same week. Pick up all 8 free plays, and on Monday, March 28th, you receive double that amount. Overall, you pick up 2.5 times your normal amount of free play if you make all of the pickups.
Hey, this is Colin from Blackjack Apprenticeship, and if you're serious about card counting, I'm sure Bob and Richard would agree that there are 3 things every advantage player needs to succeed. You need to gain the edge over the house, you need to manage your bankroll, and you need to get the hours in at the casinos. After a decade of playing professionally and running teams, I wanted to create the exact training, tools, and community I wished I had had for myself and my blackjack teams, so we created the Blackjack Apprenticeship membership. Our membership will help you perfect your game, manage your bankroll, and you'll join a supportive community of like-minded card counters and APs. Find out more at blackjackapprenticeship.com.
Videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the Gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is Triple Triple Bonus Poker. This is an ultra-high variance game, similar to Triple Double Bonus, in that you get paid $800 for 1 for all aces with a 2, 3, or 4 kicker. But this time you also get $800 for 1 for all 2s, 3s, and 4s with an ace kicker. This additional $400 for 1 for Triple Double Bonus occurs every 13,000 hands. But to pay for this, straights are reduced from paying 4 to 1 to 3 to 1. Actually, from 4 for 1 to 3 for 1, which costs you a little bit more than 1% because straights come around approximately 1 in 97 hands in this game. The variance is around 140, which will make you wish you stayed home if you don't hit one of the bonus hands today. All right, we're back with questions from our listeners. I'm a journeyman card counter and starting to look into more advanced plays. I live in Texas and have come across quite a few small little game rooms with slots and video poker. I find the same setup on even a smaller scale at gas stations in Texas sometimes. These opportunities would be a good way to add a little EV between trips. I've been trying to find information about return to players or video poker is coded to deal from an actual deck in Texas game rooms. I've seen what looks like to be a positive situation with progressives and some slots left in a positive state. My concern is that it's an unregulated state, and these could be similar to the return. It could be extremely low like they are in a few states. So my question isn't so much about Texas specifically, but rather when you find yourself in a similar situation, what resources to use to analyze a play and figure out the math. If the games are made by IGT, my assumption is they're going to be fair. This is an a priori assumption. They don't have to be. IGT also makes games for states like New York, where the racinos there have special rules making the games unfair to players. I would also keep records. A longer than average losing streak would cause me to stop playing there. I might well be giving up on a situation with bad variance on a fair game, but I'd be preventing a really big loss on a gaffed machine if it was there.
Yeah, I in an unregulated place like that, you can be cheated, or you also can walk into a gold mine because nobody else is playing it. The slots that, for example, in Washington, the video poker there, one way to test it would be if you have a pair of jacks or better, throw away one of the jacks, and if you immediately get another one back, you may that might be a good indication that this is one of those kind of machines where the outcome has been predetermined. So, you could play it for the smallest stakes possible and try that on a few hands and see, if the hand comes back to you. But if there are progressives and things like that, that could be very lucrative in places where there is no competition. Nobody else is there to pick them off, and they could get quite high, or machines could get into positive states. And some of those machines, it's pretty inexpensive for you to take down what the positive state is. And you should be able to tell pretty quickly if you're getting what you should.
Okay. Here's a question for Richard about intermittent fasting. I just did 40 hours. I was going to go to 48, but nausea picked up a lot. How long do you fast for? How often? What tips do you have?
Wow. Well, this was kind of an unexpected question. But anyway, first of all, daily, I try not to consume any calories after about 6 o'clock at night. So I'm fasting every day for at least, 13, 14, 15 hours. I used to do a 24-hour fast every week, but I've been, I don't know, kind of lazy about that recently. And I would like to do a 3-day fast once a year, but again, I don't know. I've been it was very easy for me to do a 3-day fast when my wife was out of town, but when my wife is here, it's her thing is everybody should eat all the time, so it's very hard for me to fast more than a day when she's here. So I don't know. That's what I do. If you're interested, I would check out Dr. Peter Attia. He has a lot of information about fasting. But anyway, I find that if I do not eat before I sleep, if I don't eat after about 6 o'clock, I sleep better. I have more energy in the morning, and I kind of started doing that before I had ever heard of intermittent fasting.
Very good. I recently played a blackjack casino wizard machine in which I doubled down on a hand of $300, matched with my own $300. I won the hand. The machine locked up, and I received a hand pay and a win of $1,200 and a W2G. Why do I get taxed on my original $600 bet? Thanks. And the best answer I can give you to that is that's the way they do it. Thousands of players have complained about this to no avail. Next time, bet $299 or less.
Well, and also you're not being taxed on your $600 bet. You're given a form that says you were given $1,200. That doesn't mean you owe tax on $1,200. Well, I guess it depends on the state, but there are states where you would. But federally, that doesn't mean you're taxed on $1,200. So you need to keep a log of your gambling, of the date and the casino and how much you won or lost, and you total up your wins and your losses at the end of the year, and that's what you're taxed on, assuming you're ahead.
I'm not sure that's true for recreational players. For professional gamblers, that is true. But for recreational players, W2Gs do count against your ability to deduct, to take various kinds of deductions. So there is a W2Gs have a real penalty. Next question. I noticed Richard mentioned building your bankroll through online gambling. Is this possible because of promotions and offers, or is there another route of advantage playing online gaming?
No, promotions and offers. Yeah, that's where the money is in online gaming.
Yeah, well, occasionally there was it Ocean Magic, or what was it called? There are some games where
sure, occasionally casinos will make mistakes and you can make money that way, but the majority is the promotions. And
all right. Next question. I had my first hole carding session recently. I was on a Mississippi stud game when it came time for the dealer to put the 3 community cards out, the dealer fanned all 3 out, and I could see 1, 2, or sometimes 3 cards almost 100% of the time. Being that this was my first time hole carding ever, I was only playing one hand when I saw the hole cards. My problem was that they weren't matching up with my 2 player cards. Is playing 2 hands a better option so I have more of a chance of something pairing up? This is an example. Community cards, ace, king, queen. The dealer deals me a 3 and a 5. I ended up losing money in the session, and I could really use a pep talk on if something like this happened to you and other APs as well. I also misread some of the pips, like mistaking a 9 for an 8. This is not something unheard of for people who found success in hole carding, I assume. I was able to dig out and get back to even using high-low on blackjack, so that restored some confidence. I guess I just doubt myself and my skills when it doesn't go the way I expect. Richard.
Well, yeah, you are not skilled if you're not seeing what the cards actually are. Most carnival games don't allow you to play 2 hands, but the reason to play 2 hands is if you're playing a game where you have an edge, then you have an edge on 2 hands. You have an edge on every hand. So playing more hands is better, especially if you're betting the limit. But just because you have an edge doesn't mean you automatically win. You should know that from card counting. So, and it's not clear you had an edge because it's not clear how well you could actually see the cards. So hole carding is not as easy as many people think. They think like, oh, well, the strategy is going to be obvious. Well, it's not. So, yeah, it's just a lot more difficult than you think, both to see the card accurately and then to know the proper strategy.
Yeah, and also don't make huge conclusions based on one short-term session. You're going to have positive and negative variance in whatever you do. So just because you won or just because you lost this particular time is not really that important long term. You need more sessions to get an idea what's going to go on. Next question. When I play at a casino in Northern California, I like to start off by playing video poker to scope out the blackjack tables. I found a 9-6 double-double bonus Game King, which is basically 99% even, and started playing when I saw Ploppy having some positive variance on a single deck 6-5 game. So when he left, I joined the table to win several $100s in a short amount of time. I then went back to the same 9-6 double-double bonus Game King and saw that the game selection page was different, and the double-double bonus was in a different position, and when he checked the pay schedule, it also been changed to an 8-5. I was not gone more than 45 minutes. What happened here? Well, there are a few possibilities. First of all, it takes less than 45 minutes to change the pay schedule on one machine, although being the perfect storm of them starting immediately after you left and finishing before you return is pretty unlikely. Usually, though, there are several identical machines, and all these machines are shut down, and the pay schedules on all of them are changed at the same time. That would likely take longer than 45 minutes. Another possibility is you were checking different denominations. That is, maybe the 9-6 was on the dollar denomination and the 8-5 was on the quarter denomination, or vice versa. There could be more games offered at one of the denomination, which would make the game selection pages different. Another possibility is that you were at a different machine, even though you think you went to the same one. Perhaps one row over, or even one machine over. It's very common for casinos to have different pay schedules at different machines. That way the casino can benefit from players who don't know the difference. All right, next question. In the video poker world, is there a commonly accepted rating scale that measures the volatility level of each game? If so, what is the numeric range of that scale? And how are these ranges determined? And what are they intended to represent?
You know what? Wait, I'm sorry. I have to stop you. I have to comment on the last guy.
Good.
That 6-5 game is terrible, and it doesn't matter if somebody was getting lucky or you thought the dealer was hot and you made some money. Just realize that that's a really bad game. So if you're just there in the casino for recreation and entertainment, okay. But just so you're aware, you're playing at a pretty substantial disadvantage there.
Well, I agree, and it's been suggested that sometimes we make fun of the people who send in questions, and this was the time where I think he's asking to be made fun of. He's calling the person on the 6-5 game a ploppy, and then he goes and plays that game because the guy won. And the video poker game he was playing was only 99%. So he just might be a ploppy himself.
Yes.
All right. So the question was about rating scales for volatility in video poker. The most common rating measure for volatility is variance, which is the square of the standard deviation, and the definition is found in every beginning statistics book. When I wrote Video Poker for the Intelligent Beginner, I broke down non-wild card games into low volatility, which was jacks or better, and bonus poker, which have a variance of 19.5, The medium volatility games, including double bonus and others, they have a variance between 25 and 35. And the high volatility games, including double bonus and others, which have a variance above 40. Extremely high volatility include royal aces and triple double bonus, among others. These have variance of 90 or higher. There were decisions to be made. Super double bonus, for example, has a variance of 38. Slightly too high to be medium volatility, slightly too low to be high volatility. I had to put it one or the other, so I did. I don't remember which one. Now, these are arbitrary distinctions. Someone else could declare that the games under 30 were low volatility rather than under 25, and that would be just as valid as the measure I did. So there's no universally accepted standards for what is low and what is medium, but variance is the measure that's used most of all. I have a question about casino comps. I know that daily theoretical play, or the average amount you play in a day, is part of how casinos calculate comps. If I go to a casino for an overnight trip and play for 7 hours on the first day and then play for another hour on the second day, will the 1 hour played on the day 2 reduce my average daily theoretical and therefore reduce my comps, even though I actually gave the casino more action by playing on the second day? If I plan to go to a casino for a couple days and play X hours, should I focus all my play on one day instead of spreading it over 2 days? And the general answer to your question is yes, you should. But not all casinos use theoretical play as a basis for their comps. Some use total play, in which case it doesn't matter. Most casinos use casino days, or sometimes calendar days. Casino days can be 2:01 a.m. to 4:01 a.m. to 4 a.m., 6:01 a.m. to 6 a.m., or any other break-off point. Sometimes hosts will tell you, sometimes they won't. If the first host won't tell you, ask another at a different time. Most hosts are professional friends, and they'll try to help you if you can, even if they aren't supposed to. I've had more than one host give me an answer such as, he's not allowed to tell me what time it is, but he'll wave 3 fingers in front of his chest. I took that to mean it was 3:01 a.m. to 3 a.m. Next question is for Richard. Twice in one session, I got paid 40 to 1 on a side bet that I didn't deserve, totaling about $8,000. I was playing face-up Pai-Gow at a casino that I frequent quite regularly. Here's the question. Am I good, or can they give me trouble next time I come in? Do you have any recommendation on how long I should wait before my next visit, or anything I should look out for or worry about?
Just be aware that they may come up to you, especially if you were playing on a player's card. They may come up to you the next time you go in and say, hey, we made a mistake, and try to get the money back from you. And, you know, whether they can do that legally, I'm sure is going to depend on what state you're in and whether it's an Indian casino and yada, yada. So now this happens all the time. I mean, like every day it happens. And most of the time they don't catch it. So, you know, just be aware the next time you go in, they may, and it doesn't matter how long you wait if you've used a player's card because it's in your file, if they found it. Now, unless you left immediately after it happened, chances are it went by unnoticed. But just be aware when you go back, they may say, hey, we mispaid you, and you know, then you get into a discussion about it. My approach would be to say, gee, let me see the tape, you know, and a lot of times they're going to say, well, we don't have it anymore, in which case I would be like, well, you know, pound sand. But I mean, I might say pound sand anyway. It just means that they're going to probably bar you and 86 you from that particular casino. So, yeah.
Yeah, almost always you will be allowed to keep it, although they can certainly kick you out if you do.
Yeah. They would have to sue you, I think, to try to get it back. And even then, I think Bob Nersessian on the show has talked about this, and I think he said that, well, I don't want to misquote him, but I thought he said that they couldn't get it. But
The next question, which happens to be our last question today, is related. The question is it considered cheating if a casino dealer mistakenly pays out a losing bet, or is that considered advantage play? And my answer to that is a player is not required to correct a dealer's mistake. Dealer's mistakes can be a significant percent of your edge. If a supervisor sees it and comes over and fixes the mistake, just say nothing, or perhaps you're correct. This is a very different situation than if a dealer makes the error in the house's favor. Then you should speak up right away, not rudely, but firmly.
yeah, it is. Well, it's never considered advantage play, but it's considered cheating if you know the dealer and the dealer is doing it intentionally. Then it's cheating, and you both can be arrested. But if the dealer makes a mistake, as Bob said, it's not your job to correct them. That's the boss's job. So say nothing, take the money, and go forward.
And related to this is if a table loses money, then that doesn't go back to one particular dealer. But if it's at the cage where you gave them $450 worth of chipstick cash and they actually gave you $550 back, that $100 will go back to that particular cashier. And many casinos, probably most, will take that $100 out of the paycheck of the cashier. Most cashiers are earning basically minimum wage. And so those kind of situations, I give the money back. But if it's at the table where they can't put it to any particular player, I'll let the house eat it. All right. That is it for our questions today. So keep them coming in. Send them to Richard or me, and we'll get them back on the show in the near future. So at the end of every show, we have a recommended section. Richard, do you have any recommended for our audience today?
Yeah, we had a listener write in, and he recommended to me a show on Netflix called Pieces of Her. It's a new show. There's only one season. It stars Toni Collette, and it's great. It's just the kind of show I like. There's a lot of action and suspense, and people who are not who you think they are, and so I've almost completed the first season. I think I'm on episode 8 or something. So that's it. Pieces of Her on Netflix.
Also on Netflix, I noticed that a movie I had seen quite a while ago was going to be taken off of Netflix on March 31st. And I thought it'd be good to watch with my wife together. It's called As Good as It Gets. It's a 1997 romantic comedy starring Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt, both of whom won Academy Awards for their role. Nicholson plays a writer with OCD who hates people and has no filter on the things he says, and boy, does he say some doozies. Hunt plays the only waitress in his favorite restaurant who can tolerate to serve him. Add in Greg Kinnear as a gay neighbor, and Cuba Gooding as someone who can stand up to Nicholson, stir it all together, and it's a fun show. There are numerous one-liners throughout the show that are worth writing down, but it's going to go away. It's going to go away on April 1st. No fooling.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm not really a Jack Nicholson fan. I think he tends to chew up the scenery, but I did like that movie a lot.
He definitely chewed up the scenery on this one. He was he was really dominating it, but it was there were some really clever lines in there. All right, so thank you, Richard. It's been fun again. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.